I can't think of her name. The one that's in the wheelchair.
Do.
Oh,
It just happened this week.
I was speeding every year of my life.
I think
until I
it needs
had
to
this
happen.
surgery.
That.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I try to
Chris.
get. I'll do the sub shirt now. Try to get at least a little. I need some.
It's 7 o'clock on the computer.
All right. Y'all ready? All right, let's do it. Mic's on. Good evening and welcome to our regular city council meeting this June the 9th of 2025. Our invocation will be led tonight by Fire Chief Ryan Baker, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Troop 59. If you would, please stand with me.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this country that we get to call our home. God, this earth is temporary, and the things that we face every single day discourages us, whether it's family, what's going on around us in political or just in our community. God, we ask for forgiveness for our sins because we are a sinful people. And I ask for protection over those that protect us day in, day out, both here at home and abroad. And it is in your name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please remain standing.
Color guard advance. Color guard post the colors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Salute. Pledge. I
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. I hope everybody's having a wonderful start to this summertime. I know we as scouts have. We've been cleaning up our camp, getting ready for summer camp. And so it's been keeping us busy. In mentioning that, I just want to remind you, I saw today kids walking the roads. So when you're driving through Mount Holly, please be extra careful. There are youth out there that don't pay attention to those of us that drive big trucks, and they will walk out in front of you and you will potentially hit them. So please keep careful, watch out for our young people that kind of don't watch out for us, and be safe out there on the streets this summer. Thank you.
You may be seated. Thank you, Troop 59, as always. And Chief Baker, thank you for the invocation. We're going to get started. It was setting the agenda. Are there any changes to our agenda? Hearing none, need a motion to approve that. Ms. Shoemaker, second by Mr. Reeves. All in favor? Motion passes. There are 4 items on the consent agenda. Any changes? So we move forward with that. Get a motion. Mr. Craig and Mr. Huff, all in favor? That motion passes. We'll move on. Before we start our presentations, I want to mention one thing. There's a lady, a resident here in Mount Holly. Her name is Bonnie Beatty, and she turned 105 years old today. So we want to recognize her. Yes, her husband used to work for the city of Mount Holly. His name was Dorman Beatty, but he worked for the city, I think, back in the 70s. So they've been a big part of the city. I think they live on Pearl Beatty Drive, but they've been a big part of this community for a long, long time. So I wanted to mention that. That's a major accomplishment. So we're going to go into our presentations and the introduction from Miss Mount Holly 2025, Mary J. Frolizada.
Good evening, Mayor David Moore, City Council members, and members of the Mount Holly community. Thank you all so much for allowing me to speak with you tonight. My name is Mary J. Filizarta, and I am deeply honored to serve as Miss Mount Holly as I prepare to compete in the Miss North Carolina competition later this month. Although I am not originally from Mount Holly, I've been welcomed with so much warmth and kindness that I truly feel a part of this incredible community. Since being crowned in February, I've had the joy of volunteering at the Holy Angels Home and serving at the Taste of Mount Holly event, experiences that have shown me just how compassionate and close-knit this town is. I'm very blessed to be a part of this community. A little bit about me is that I'm currently a medical student at UNC Chapel Hill, and I was born and raised in Cary, North Carolina, but the passion that brought me to the Miss America opportunity surprisingly began during my year of volunteering in the Philippines. I served as a cook and a tutor to the children living in one of the largest urban slums in the country. And I remember one night so clearly. A young boy named Mark entered our center with bandages haphazardly wrapped around his face after being mauled by a stray dog. I saw firsthand what it means to live in a system where healthcare is not guaranteed, especially for the poorest and most vulnerable. That moment solidified my commitment to pursuing medicine, not only to become a doctor, but a leader who advocates for equitable, accessible care for all communities here at home and beyond. And this commitment to health equity is at the heart of my community service initiative, Bridging the Gap, expanding healthcare access, which is centered on the ideal that all individuals, especially those that are underserved, have access to the care and resources that they require. Representing Mount Holly means more to me than wearing a crown. It means standing up for what I believe in and using my education and experiences to propel change. Therefore, I want to sincerely thank you for supporting me and platforms like Miss North Carolina that empower young women to be advocates and leaders. I'm committed to making Mount Holly proud on the Miss North Carolina stage in June, and I promise to carry this community's heart and strength with me every step of the way. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
Thank you, Mary J. If I could have council join me on the floor at this time. I'm going to ask coaches Darren and Jeff come up, please. And young ladies, if y'all want to come up and stand in front of council. Yes, bring the hardware. This is exciting. We're very proud. Come on up. So I'm going to read this proclamation to recognize these young ladies of the Mountain Island Charter School's Women's Championship Soccer Team. Whereas the Mountain Island Charter School was opened on September the 4th, 2013 as the first charter school in Mount Holly with a history of successful championship teams since 2014. And whereas the Mountain Island Charter School women's soccer team wrapped up an exciting, competitive 2024-2025 season marked by determination, growth, and a strong team spirit. Under the leadership of coaches Darren Johnson and Jeff Painter, the team showed consistent improvement both in individual skills and collective strategy, making significant strides from the first whistle to the final match. And whereas the Raptors finished the season with a solid record of 20-5, highlighted by a state championship victory over Wake Preparatory Academy by a score of 5-0. Their performance was anchored by a strong defensive line led by Rylan Breath, Kate Howard, Ellie Stroop, Allison Gyron, and solid goalkeeper Kendall Spence that only allowed one goal in the 6-game playoff stretch. A dynamic midfield center around Carter Breath, Tina Carter, and Mia Lohr that helped control the pace of the games and create scoring opportunities in the front line led by Cheyenne Painter, Harmony Carter, and Eden Lewis that combined to help score 124 goals on this season. Amazing. The reserve players were always there and willing to contribute whenever they were called upon and stepped in without missing a beat. And whereas notable moments this season, including beating the three-time defending state champion Christ the King High School in all three matches. And whereas off the field, the team emphasized sportsmanship, academic responsibility, and community involvement, reflecting the school's core values. This team is setting the stage for a promising future with a strong group of returning players. And whereas, with this season's successes and challenges under their belt, the Mountain Island Charter School soccer team looks ahead with confidence and high expectations for the next chapter. Now, therefore, I, David Moore, Mayor of Mount Holly, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim and recognize this momentous milestone of the Mountain Island Charter School, and to our community, proclaim this 9th day of June, 2025.
We've only got 4 girls here tonight. One of the reasons that we're able to succeed is we've got a lot of girls that are playing some pretty high level stuff, playing against college teams and semi-pro teams tonight. That's why we're here.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that was our first state championship in women's soccer in the city. Is that right? For the county. Okay. Wow. Good job, young ladies. Next up, we're going to do a proclamation to recognize the 150th anniversary of the Mount Holly Cotton Mill building. So if I could have Caroline and Robbie come up, and anybody else that wants to come up with them. These folks went in and saved this historic mill. Robbie, every time I talk to him, I'm like, are you going to go home? He said, I'll sleep when I die. That was his words. So, but it's amazing what they did to that facility down there, and it's a gem. It is just a diamond in our crown, so we appreciate this so much. So whereas the Mount Holly Cotton Mill was built in 1875 by brothers A.P. and D.E. Ryan and Ambrose Costner as the first mill in Gaston County, North Carolina, after the Civil War, in what was then known as the town of Woodlawn, later to be incorporated into Mount Holly, North Carolina on March the 11th, 1879. And whereas the Mount Holly Cotton Mill remained a textile mill until the 1970s and subsequently served as a warehouse, the Austrian consulate, and various other roles throughout its distinguished history. And whereas the Mount Holly Cotton Mill is on the National Register of Historic Place, is the oldest standing mill in Gaston County, and is a staple of the Mount Holly community. And whereas Robbie and Caroline Delaney purchased the former Mount Holly Cotton Mill in 2022 and have transformed this 17,000 square foot building into a premier destination place in Mount Holly and home to Muddy River Distillery. And whereas June the 21st of 2025 marks the 150th anniversary of the former Mount Holly Cotton Mill, and whereas it is fitting to recognize and celebrate the significant contributions, accomplishments, and successes of Robbie and Caroline Delaney in the rehabilitation of the Mount Holly Cotton Mill. Now, therefore, I, David Moore, Mayor of Mount Holly, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim and recognize this momentous milestone of the Mount Holly Cotton Mill and extend appreciations to Robbie and Caroline Delaney for their invaluable service, vision, and commitment to our community. Thank you guys so much. move on, we're gonna get a photo real quick with Miss Mount Holly. She'll come up. All right, next I'm gonna have Chief Baker come up.
Mayor, City Council, it's an honor to stand up here, first of all, to pray at the opening of the council meeting tonight. But it's also an honor to stand up here as the fire chief of the city of Mount Holly. I also take that with a lot of respect. I respect the people that came before me, and I respect the people that come after me. One day, I'll retire and I'll move on, and someone else will take my spot. But one thing that I want to pass down is traditions that we've had in the Mount Holly Fire Department. Some things that we've instilled recently, some of the things that we've had going on. One of those things is the badge that I wear on my shirt, and that later Michael's wife, Krista, will come up here and pin on him. These badges are identical to the ones that we had when we first started in the fire department here in Mount Holly. We have a 110-year tradition when we originally started, and a lot of things have changed in that time. But one thing that doesn't change is our job, and that is to lay our lives down every single day that we come to do our job. Most recently in Hickory, they lost a young firefighter there. So that's just a reminder of we never know when that time's going to come. So at this time, I'll introduce Michael, if you'll come forward. Michael comes to us, has been in the fire service since 2004, started as a volunteer, followed in his dad's footsteps. And he said that the reason why he wanted to become a firefighter because he liked going to fires. Well, we don't have a lot of fires in Mount Holly, but if we do, it's people like Michael that have a good moral character, very knowledgeable. He is an instructor on a state level, very well respected. And we're blessed to have him with us. He comes to us from the city of Apex. And Michael, thank you for joining us. At this time, Mayor, if you would like to do his oath.
All right. Moving forward, review and approval of the update to arts on the Greenway Crosswalk mural. Mr. Paul Lowe.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So the existing crosswalk mural at Artsland Greenway is starting to fade, and after working with their leadership team, they're proposing a new design, which is before you this evening. The new design has support from both staff and PAC members, and if approved, it can be installed by the end of June, and I can answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Lowe? Mr. Craig?
I move to approve.
Okay, I have a motion to approve. I have second by Mr. Meadows. All in favor? Motion is approved. All right. Approve replacement location and art associated with B Art Mosaic to be installed at River Street Park. Mr. Lowe.
Yes, sir. So just as an update, earlier in this year, 2 of the B Art Mosaic pieces that were funded by the TDA and that the locations that were approved by the City Council were damaged. Both sites have been cleaned up. One location at the Riverhawk Greenway near the Tuck Park Bridge has been replaced due to the fact that there's a camera on that location now and it's a more secure location. The location that's before you for approval is in River Street Park, and we're proposing to move it from along the Greenway to the fishing pier. We checked with Parks and Rec staff and got approval and support from the Parks and Rec staff, and we also have a favorable recommendation from the PAC. Staff recommends approval, and I can answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Lowe? Hearing none.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion for approval by Mr. Huff, second by Mr. Reeves. All in favor? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Lowe.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay, next on our agenda is the public hearing, budget highlights, and public hearing for the proposed fiscal year 2025-2026 budget and fee schedule. And I will mention this, that tonight we'll be having our public hearing on this proposed budget for the upcoming fiscal year. Any person wishing to speak may do so for up to 3 minutes. Please be respectful, professional, and keep your comments to budget-related matters. Thank you. Mr. Blanton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the mayor said, tonight we will be having our public hearing on the fiscal year 25-26 budget. As I said last month, I am particularly proud of this budget and what it represents. This is the first year, full year that I've been with you guys through a full budget cycle as city manager, and the budget that we put together is one that I'm particularly proud of and one that I am particularly proud of the teamwork that my staff has pitched in order to make this possible. Our team has done a tremendous job at cutting costs, identifying efficiencies, and compiling one of the most conservative budgets that the city of Mount Holly has had in several years. So my staff that's here tonight, thank you so much. Last month, I talked a bit about our finance staff winning the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award, and several people reached out to me to ask me exactly what that is. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what that is. It is a national award that recognizes budgets that are of the highest quality and excels as a policy document, financial plan, operations guide, and a communication tool. This recognition, paired with our consistent financial audits over the last several years, is a true testament to the commitment of our staff and our elected officials to the highest level of transparency and fiscal responsibility. The city proudly carries a credit rating of AAA-M by S&M and AAA-MF by Moody's Investor Services, both of which indicate an incredibly strong financial position and a designation that Mount Holly has worked incredibly hard to earn. In that same spirit, we have been working hard this year to put this budget together. Before you is a timeline of how we got started. We met in this room February 28, 2025, where we had our city council retreat. Our finance department worked with our department heads in order to develop goals and objectives that were due on March the 14th. Following that, our capital outlay and line item requests were due on March the 28th. Between April and May, management and our department heads worked together with finance in order to compile a budget that was presented to the City Council on May 12, 2025. Of course, a couple weeks ago, I stood here where I am tonight and submitted a budget message to the City Council, and tonight, here we are in our public hearing. I'm very proud to report that the recommended budget is balanced at $42,369,691. That is an approximate 6.7% decrease from the prior fiscal year. So the budget is compiled of several different funds. The general fund is balanced at $25,216,517. The water and sewer fund is balanced at $15,903,301. We have ongoing capital construction projects that are totaling $31,279,928. Our 911 wireless and wireline fund is also balanced at $110,673. Our Tourism Development Authority fund, our TDA fund, is balanced at $339,200, and our POW bill fund is balanced at $800,000. I am going to give an overview of each fund and some of the major projects that we're working on. We will get started with the general fund. The city is projecting a little over $25 million in general fund revenue for fiscal year 26. This is our largest fund, and these funds are derived from property taxes, sales and use taxes, investment earnings, and utility franchise taxes. The property tax for the upcoming fiscal year remains the same at 40.5 cents. Our expenditures. The general fund provides for several different departments to be funded. That would be our city council, administration, police, fire, garage, streets and solid waste, planning, and parks and recreation. This year, expenditures for the general fund are decreasing by 6.8% from the prior fiscal year, and we are allocating $776,745 from the fund balance to balance the general fund. This is an 80.8 decrease from the prior fiscal year, and these funds from fund balance will go to fund some of the capital projects that I'm going to talk about, next. Among the projects that we will be finalizing over the next year are $673,500 in construction cost for the new museum space, municipal complex, the continuation of Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the Kemp A. Michael Way roadway, which is pictured up here last fall when we broke ground on that project. We're also funding $3 million in capital project ordinances, $3,196,531 for the Dutchman's Creek Greenway Bridge project, which are funded from funds that are supplanted by the American Rescue Act. And we will be finishing up Ransom Hunter Park. If you've been out that way lately, it is coming along very nicely. Last week, finished up our paving downtown, which is also pictured here in this slide. Moving on to the water and sewer fund. We are projecting $15,903,301 in revenue for fiscal year 25. These funds are from water and sewer sales, stormwater revenue, and utility fees. There is a 12% increase in water rates and a 6% increase in water and sewer rates that were based on the recently adopted study by Raftellus. Those two increases will total an additional revenue of $624,000 in water revenue and $368,000 in sewer revenue. In the previous fiscal year, the Water and Sewer Fund provided for over $6 million in large-scale capital projects, and we're going to make we've made a lot of headway on those projects, and we're going to continue to make headway in the upcoming fiscal year. We are projecting expenditures for the Water and Sewer Fund to decrease by 10.2% in the upcoming fiscal year. In regards to fund balance, we will be allocating $727,297 to the Water and Sewer Fund, and this represents an 86.6% decrease from the prior fiscal year. This will go towards some of the large-scale projects that we're working on, including $1.5 million in aerial and lift station upgrades to the riverfront community, a total of a little over $2 million for Phase 2 of the Lower Dutchman's Creek Sewer Project, $15 million for the decommissioning of the wastewater treatment plant, $500,000 in designs for upgrades to the Dutchman's Creek lift station and force main, over $400,000 for infiltration and inflow testing, aerial structures and sewer lining, $1 million in upgrades to the city's north water tank, $93,000 in pump renovations and necessary upgrades to the water plant, and additional $287,263 for upgrades to infrastructure. There's pictured our new North Water Tower that went up a couple weeks ago, and there at the bottom is one of the capital projects that we completed last year, the glass curtain at our award-winning water treatment plant. They were awarded the Area of Water Optimization Program Award, as I mentioned last week. So very proud of these investments and very much looking forward to continuing the great work that is happening in our Water and Sewer Fund. Moving on to the 911 Wireless and Wireline Fund. This is funding from revenues that we derive from surcharges on wireless, wireline telephones in the 911 service area. These funds are collected by the state of North Carolina, and then they are dispersed to the city. We are projecting to spend $110,673 in that fund in the upcoming fiscal year. Our Tourism Development Fund, the TDA fund, this consists of funding from occupancy taxes paid by travelers who stay overnight in our area hotels. These funds are overseen and expended by the Tourism Development Board with one of our members here tonight, Ms. Caroline Delaney. We are projecting $339,200 in the TDA fund for the upcoming fiscal year. As I mentioned last month, that is increased slightly. We're allocating money from fund balance so that we can continue to work with the TDA on some of the great projects that have been underway. If you've been downtown, the alleyway behind Awaken Gallery, that was a project that was made possible thanks to the partnership with the TDA. The new sign, the gateway sign, the electronic sign that's up the road here, that was a partnership with the TDA. So great work that is being undertaken there as well. The Powell Bill Fund is funding for the maintenance of our public streets. These funds are collected by the state of North Carolina and distributed to the city. We are projecting $800,000 in revenue and expenditures for the Powell Bill Fund in the upcoming fiscal year. As I mentioned in the budget message, we focused on 3 goals in this budget, one being finalizing those large-scale capital projects that I just spoke of. The second goal was working towards improving employee retention and recalibrating benefits, and we're going to do that through several things that are proposed in this budget. We're going to bring all of the current positions to a level that is at or above the neighboring market, revising the city's general pay plan in order to more closely align with market midpoints, implementing a starting minimum wage that is proposed at $18.33 per hour, transitioning the city's retirees to a cost-saving health reimbursement arrangement, and addressing the issues of compression within various ranks of employees via pay grade revisions. We spent a lot of time with a consultant, Baker Tilly, looking into these matters that were presented to our city council earlier this year, and the recommended budget provides for those changes to be made. The last goal that we focused on was funding new improvements in order to continue to sustain the high quality of life that our residents are accustomed to here in the city of Mount Holly. Several of these I'm very much looking forward to. One is $85,630 in camera upgrades to promote safety throughout the city. We are also going to be investing $178,000 in communication and technology upgrades to our police officers and our firefighters. We are going to be putting $366,634 towards sanitation equipment in our streets and solid waste department. We are going to invest $100,000 in the recreation department to upgrade our trail system and to also do some improvements at Woodlawn Park, and $110,000 in new art projects and the continuation of our outdoor gallery here at the municipal complex in order to continue to increase vibrancy through art and placemaking. So those are just a few of the projects that are being funded under the new funding new improvements. So in conclusion, the budget is balanced, recommended budget is balanced and prepared in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 15911, just as I did last month. I want to thank our mayor, council for the direction that we have gotten in order to continue to strive to preserve and enhance our small town character while addressing these large and important issues. And I would be remiss if I did not give my sincerest thanks again to our award-winning finance department for the tireless work that they put towards this budget. I'm very proud of it. It is responsible, for fiscally sound, and as I said, one of the lowest budgets that we've had in recent years. So, Mr. Mayor, it's with sincerest gratitude and appreciation that I respectfully submitted this a couple weeks ago and recommend it for council's adoption. I, of course, will be glad to answer any questions that council may have.
Any questions for Mr. Blanton? Yes, sir. Mr. Meadows.
So, Mr. Manager, there's a couple spots in here where you talk about transferring funds from unassigned fund balance to the budget itself. Could you talk about what that practice is, and can you talk about our policy on using unassigned fund balance as far as operating expenses go?
Absolutely, Councilman Meadows. The proposed budget does not allocate any fund balance for operational cost. It only goes to subsidize these capital projects that I referenced. Our fund balance roughly is around 30% of unassigned fund balance, but our total fund balance is much higher than that. The state recommends at least 8%. We are well above that threshold. We are well within our threshold that has been implemented in the city's finance office. But in short, no fund balance is allocated to go towards operational. It's only towards some of these large capital outlay costs.
Mr. Meadows.
Could you explain the difference between ongoing operating and one-time capital projects?
Sure, absolutely. Over the past few years, the city of Mount Holly has expended quite a large amount in capital costs. These are one-time capital costs, such as the water tower that is going up, such as the Gateway Connector Road. These are large-scale, one-time capital project costs that will not be ongoing, whereas operational costs would be recurring each year, with those one-time projects being capital projects, typically over $5,000. But some of these have been to the tune of well over $6 million in the last fiscal year that we've undertaken as one-time capital costs that were supported from the unassigned fund balance.
Mr. Meadows?
Have you done a comparison of the last couple of years of operating that are underlying the capital piece of the project or budget? You talked about some of the projects drawing down, but what is our operating each year? Approximately how much has it gone up each year? So you've held a number and it's gone up a little bit each year, I think is the answer.
Yeah, it's went up a bit each year. We're seeing decrease in operating expenses due to some budget shifts that we've made with various departments. In the general fund, it's a 6.8% decrease from the prior fiscal year, and in the utility fund, it was a 10.2% decrease. But it primarily remained steady over the past few years. It is lesser this year due to some budget tweaks that we've had in readjustment of departmental expenses.
Mr. Meadows?
Just want to make sure I understand it. So previous years, we've had increases, and in this year's staff did work to actually decrease the amount of operating expenses that we have in this budget.
That is correct, Councilman Meadows.
That's outstanding. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Mr. Craig?
I gotta say, amazing job. Staff, everyone involved in this. I know it's a huge process, and for you to submit this and it be balanced and ready to rock and roll, truly appreciate everything that you do for us.
Yeah, this process starts when in February, March.
Yes, early.
So it's not a overnight thing. So we've been working on this, and staff and department heads, they've all been involved with this. So we appreciate everybody that's made the efforts to make this happen. So I guess at this time, if there's no more comments or questions, we will go into our public hearing. So I need a motion for that. Ms. Harris, second by Mr. Reeves. All in favor, we're now in our public hearing. We have two people signed up to speak. The first up is Mr. Ned Brantley. If you would state your name and address for the record, please.
Hello. Ned Brantley at AOL.com. Officially John Edward Brantley III. I'm a 4-year resident on Van Gogh Trail in Imagery. My complaint is about the zoning going on in the riparian water zone at Imagery. The previous board, under control of
Mr. Brantley, I think you may have signed up for the, you should have signed up for public comment. So if I can get you to come back for that, if that's okay. Yeah, we'll get you back up here in just a moment.
That's fine.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. So the other person signed up is Mr. Bob Hendricks.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see you here tonight. I want to begin with something maybe a little different. First of all, it is to pay some kudos to our remarkable city manager. We are blessed to have that man in this community. He's intelligent, honest, articulate, driven. But you know what else he is? He's available. And I'll tell you, I've never met anyone in your kind of position before, Jonathan, that does as good a job as you do at what it is you're trying to get done. That said, this is in no way, my comments are in no way to be disparaging or directed in a disparaging way to Jonathan, his team, anything to that effect. But I want to be clear that I do have some concerns about the city budget, but I'm going to work on one of those tonight. Given 3 minutes, I have to hurry. The water rate increase for 2020 or 25-26 is $992,000. There'll be another rate increase the following year, as it stands today, for $1.1 million. 27-28 there'll be 1.2 million. 28, 29, 1.4 million. 29 and 30, there's going to be almost a $1.6 million increase. So the 12 and 6% that we're looking at isn't a one-off, and I think that people deserve to know that. Now, that is something that could potentially be changed down the road, as I know. But in our experience, and most recently, we've talked about a project here in town, the Veterans Park project. While I think the park itself is a good idea, you may or may not recall that I really wasn't a big fan of the commercial aspect of that or the retail of that. But with that said...
1 minute.
But with that said, we need to be mindful about that project not having gone so well. So my recommendation is, given the increases that no one is a fan of as it relates to utility increases, I would suggest that our council manage and vote accordingly, especially if you're running for re-election, not to put this increase for our utilities through, but to pull back tonight, reevaluate it, and make sure that this is something that the community wants. We've proven once that the community didn't want something, and it came back to bite us. The community doesn't want something again. Let's not let that happen. Let's go back to the community. Let's listen to them and revisit the budget and pull that cash from other available capital projects that could probably be delayed, suspended, or at least adjusted in some way.
Okay, Mr. Hendricks, thank you. Okay, we have no one else to sign up for the public hearing, so I need a motion to go out of our public hearing back into our regular meeting. Ms. Shoemaker and Ms. Harris, all in favor? Motion passes. We're back in our regular meeting. We're now going into our public comment portion.
Hey, Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the budget.
Okay. Sorry, I missed that. I have a motion by Mr. Huff to approve the budget, second by Ms. Harris. All in favor? Motion passes. And we would like to make an additional action to approve the fee schedule. Would you like to?
Yes, I make a motion that we approve the fee schedule.
Okay. And we have a second by Ms. Harris. All in favor? The motion passes. All right. So we're good, Mr. Blanton, with that? All right. Now we'll move on to our public comment. I have 3 people signed up for that. First, Mr. Clyde Davis. And if you would, state your name and address for the record, please.
Before we get started, I always want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for moving my family here to Mount Holly. With that said, I have a news report today. I work outside Mount Holly and a lot of other areas. And I want to share some observations and sort of a philosophy that I hope that you'll adopt. Let's start with this. My Bible says we do not fight against flesh and blood, but against principalities. I'm going to shift over to Mecklenburg County right now and give you a couple of updates on what's going on there right now. In their school system, the principal of Audrey Kell High School was suspended on May 2nd. But the parents were not told. Not that day, not the next day, not the next week. Just days later, a principal at Randolph Middle High School, also suspended. Parents received the same language, same vagueness, same silence. This isn't just a CMS issue. Versions of this happen across the state, and that's where I get my input. It's allowed to happen because it's legal, it's lawful. So the people have had a belly full of bad law. I'm going to shift to City Council in Mecklenburg County. Headline from the Charlotte Observer last week. City Council ignited public scrutiny over a secretive settlement with the police chief. We have the state auditor coming in to look this one over. He said he would investigate and report on his findings. The deal had to do with the council in closed session giving the police chief over $300,000. Right after that, council was also reeling from another blow.
1 minute.
Federal indictment, one of its members, federal prosecutors, that's federal now, we're not in the state anymore, we're in the federal. Councilwoman Tawana Brown and her 2 daughters were charged with wire fraud and conspiracy. It's interesting that they indicate that it's the latest controversy. Controversy is what's required for civil government to work. So I'm glad to hear that we have a new select committee on government efficiency chaired by our own representative, John Torbett. Their mission, and I'm going to quote it directly, we will protect the North Carolina taxpayers' constitutional rights and end the weaponization of local government's power-raging war upon the people. Now, why did I bring that up? With my few seconds left?
Sorry, Mr. Davis.
Okay.
Time's up. Thank you so much.
I can do more. Thank you.
Next up is Ms. Stephanie McLaughlin.
Good evening, Stephanie McLaughlin, 308 Piedmont Avenue. I am here this evening because I, as a representative of the Mount Holly Community Development Foundation, representing the Arts Mount Holly, want to thank our city leadership, my dear Jonathan, for coming on Saturday. Several of you attended on Saturday the reception for the Arts Mount Holly event. Thank our community leaders, thank our TDA for the support, assisting us in the advertising, the local communication, the flyers, the things that we were able to accomplish. We had our art crawl this weekend, Friday night. First of all, we had our second preview night, but it was downtown, and participated in addition to the beer sales and the music, and it was a very good event. Saturday, we had our business crawl. We had 11 or 12 businesses. We opened up the reception hall here for a juried art exhibit. We had an amazing judge, Jay Burke, from UNC Charlotte. She's an associate, very recognized, very awarded. She took us to school. She was told that she had 3 recipients, first, second, and third. She was only able to give 3 awards. We had a People's Choice Award. And I said, it's going to be tough. Go walk yourself around the room and see what you see. She's like, oh, I've done 150. I've got plenty of time. She came back and she goes, I've narrowed it down to 5. What can I do? I said, well, you can do some honorable mentions, but you're still limited, and there's no prizes and there's no ribbons. But, do what you can do, and thank you.
1 minute.
All right. So with all of that said, we had 3 ribbon winners. We had $3,000 in prizes. We had a People's Choice Award because they were able to come and look through the exhibit all day long, make their selections from a community perspective, so thank you to the community. We have Des Sturbini, who is one of our artists at Arts on the Greenway, won first place with her incredible Sweet Hour of Prayer, oil pastel. Our second place winner was Jennifer Walker, who comes to us from Pinehurst, and she has come multiple times because she loves this community so much, and she wants to come and help and learn how to do these things. We had Teresa Wrench take third place, honorable mention Randy Pender, Stephanie McLaughlin, honorable mention, Megan Burney, People's Choice Award. It was an incredible evening, incredible day, and I'm feeling the hook.
Yes, your time is.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Brantley, if you'd like to come back up.
Unfortunately, an unpleasant topic. The old Board of Imagery refused to allow any variances whatsoever in the 100-foot riparian buffer zone along the river, along the lake. 0 variances. The current president of our board was caught cleaning out the land behind his house, and he was fined. He is very well aware of the rules. The new board, under this president, has allowed 21 permits and has 29 pending permits for cutting down more trees. The 21 parcels, I estimate at 20 trees per parcel, to be about 500 trees that have been cut down along the river. I think it's many more than that. I'm not including the parcels along the peninsula where there might be another 1,000, 1,500 trees. Since April 24th, I've been asking Greg Beal, and a few days later, Jonathan, who generally is very responsive, to please answer if Greg Beal had given variance to the Board of Imagery, 24 people at Imagery, and 2 vendors to chop down the woods in variance to the City of Mount Holly, the County of Gaston, the NCDEQ, and the FERC regulations, variance. They refused to answer. Greg Beal just caught me before this meeting, said that he doesn't even know these people, that he never gave a variance, and he will give me a letter. Okay, so with Greg Beal, I agree to disagree. I have asked the board on the 3rd request today to please investigate this and find out if there has been a variance issued by Greg Beal and approved by Jonathan and the board. Now we know that Greg says that there is no variance. Okay, I still
1 minute.
I still want the investigation to find out what is going on. Did the people meet with Greg? Did they not? He says they didn't. What's going on? And we need a stop to this cutting down of the trees at Imagery. I understand that there was an agreement with this council to plant trees at Imagery, not to cut them down. But so far in the last year with the new board, it's probably in the range of 3,000 trees. Thank you. Investigation, please. Let me know how I can help. I'll participate. I'm trying to get the river keepers. I'm trying to get NCDEQ. I'm trying to bring every pressure I can on you guys, because apparently it's up to this council to monitor what's going on there, and then report that back to NCDEQ, to Gaston, and to FERC, Federal Emergency Regulations.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brantley. All right, next on our agenda is new business, the city manager report. Mr. Blanton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are several things that I want to make the council aware and the public about tonight. On the consent agenda tonight were a couple of things that I wanted to specifically mention. One is a grant that we will be applying for through the Land and Water Conservation for trail funding. That is being pursued by our new Parks and Rec Director, Mr. Eric Smallwood. So we certainly appreciate those efforts to find outside funding and hopefully go towards enhancing our trail system here in Mount Holly. Also on consent tonight was the first step of many in decommissioning our wastewater treatment plant. We awarded a contract for the basin cleaning that will be happening within the next 60 days as we undertake decommissioning some of the inactive parts of the plant as we look to go online with the City of Charlotte later this fall. Certainly want to give my biggest of thanks to our team at our wastewater treatment plant. Keith Lynch and the employees that are there have done a great job over the last couple of years keeping that plant running as we've made provisions to go online with the City of Charlotte. So we will be moving forward with those basin cleanings, and we will be updating council as more developments happen on that front. Stephanie stole my thunder. I wanted to thank Arts Mount Holly. We did have a great weekend here in the city, so thank you for all that you did. Certainly Paige and the entire team with the foundation for the great work and the great event that we had throughout Mount Holly. Also, coming up, our fireworks celebration will be on Thursday, June 26th, downtown, so certainly invite everyone to come out, celebrate with us a little bit early. Last week, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers finished up their project here in Mount Holly. 32 points in our waterways were cleared, and over 45,000 cubic yards of debris was removed. This was at no cost to the city. This was a project that came through FEMA. Very big thank you to our Public Works Department for overseeing this project and for getting those waterways cleared for the first time in many years. And lastly, as I mentioned, alluded to briefly in my budget presentation, our paving downtown was concluded last week. So many thanks to our business owners downtown on South Main for their patience. Hope you guys can go check out the new roadway while you're there. Stop by the Holland. It is open. Enjoy everything that we have to offer in downtown Mount Holly. That is all that I have tonight, Mr. Mayor, but glad to answer any questions or concerns.
Any questions? Yes, sir, Mr. Meadows.
I guess this is kind of to you, Mr. Mayor, and Jonathan as well. Is it possible to get the Community Development Foundation on the agenda to report out some of the things that they're doing? Because they seem to come at public comment, and they always have to rush through, and I feel like that there's so much more they could be offering that they're working on, and I'd love to have the public hear that.
Yeah, as long as you ask to be put on the agenda, we can do that. No problem. Thanks. Yeah, thank you. Any other comments? I will mention that Mr. Blanton had a birthday.
All about me tonight, isn't it?
Saturday. So we wish him a happy birthday. Mr. DuPont, you have anything to add?
It's not your birthday.
Oh, come on, Mr.
Okay. All right, so it's on this part, we're going to go into our closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318, 11A, 3, and 5. I need a motion to go into our closed session. Mr. Huff and second by Ms. Harris, all in favor. We are now in our closed session. All for being here.